Welcome back. When Qantas aircraft began flying directly from the Western Australian city of Perth to London just 5 years ago this week, it inaugurated a new age in which every continent, excluding Antarctica, is connected to every other by non-stop flights. Project Sunrise, as it's called, is now expanding. Non-stop flights from Sydney to London and New York are expected to begin in 2025. To soar into this subject, I'm joined by the travel expert John Strickland. Very good to see you on GBNews. Now, I would love to do this. I would love to fly non-stop between London and Australia. But am I in quite a small minority? Is this quite a niche market? Who are the people who wish to do this?
I think it is quite a small market. I mean, I was surprised just how successful these flights to Perth proved when they began 5 years ago, because the main destinations in Australia are Sydney and Melbourne, and you can, in fact, connect on to those from Perth. But these planes have been packed. And the interesting thing is the way that Qantas have laid these aircraft out is it's far more weighted to the comfy seats, for the business class and premium economy seats. And when they start the Sydney flights, they'll put first class on as well. But if you're even travelling in economy, where the prices are a bit cheaper, there's more space. More space has been allocated for all passengers. And there's a lot of focus on the quality of service on board to make it a good experience. But having said that, the prices probably for all cabins are still a bit higher. And the majority of people still are flying one stop via somewhere like Dubai or Singapore on the more conventional service.
There are some technical aspects to this, are there not? They can do things to improve the quality of the airflow in the cabin for people who are going to be on board for 17 to 20 hours.
That's right. The type of aircraft they're using, the 787, is made substantially out of carbon composite, not metal components, aluminium being more typical for previous aircraft. And that means that it can handle higher levels of humidity so we don't feel so dehydrated, and lower levels of cabin pressure. So there is a noticeable difference getting off the flight, notwithstanding what kind of seat you've travelled in, and actually feeling better. The aircraft also has cabin lighting, which is used by the crews to simulate sunrise, sunset, so there's more feeling of being in a continuous environment of a normal day. The meals, both by content and when they're served, are also designed to make it feel more comfortable, so you don't get that feeling of having just been force-fed for many hours as you might have on a traditional flight.
I think the attraction to me is getting to my destination or very close to my destination quickly. Although the airports in the Middle East are very, very pleasant, I don't actually find the experience of being marched off the plane and then being marched back onto the plane particularly pleasant. I think I'd rather just be settled and relaxed. So those are perhaps some reasons why you might be willing to pay a premium. Presumably these are good business for the airlines, otherwise they wouldn't be talking about extending to even longer distances now.
It's proved really good business for Qantas. I mean, as I mentioned, the planes have been packed, and with a large share of the seats being in the premium fare cabins, they've just not been able to offer enough seats, really, and the flight is going to continue undoubtedly with a lot of success. I think once they start Sydney and Melbourne, which are the bigger destinations, the same will apply. And I think you're right. You know, the hubs that we have, whether it's Dubai or Singapore, they can be nice airports to hang around a few hours in if you have to. But if you're really travelling in comfort, you can lie flat as you would do indeed in a business class seat. You have really high standard catering, plenty of space, and of course availability of unlimited supplies of water to keep hydrated, or alcohol if you so wish to partake. It is a comfortable journey, and 17 hours may actually pass more quickly than people might imagine.
We better say something about the environment. That some people will be rather horrified by this news item. What can we say about the environment? First of all, that these aircraft are two-engine, not four-engine, so that presumably means they make less impact. Do they make less impact by not stopping?
That should help as well, because just as you're driving a car in an urban situation, stop-start at traffic lights, if you have to descend to land and take off, that's when the fuel burn is accelerated. So cruising is the time when the engines are in flight idle mode. They can actually, burn considerably less fuel. And as you said, being a two-engine plane compared to the jumbos of old, the 747, which I first went to Australia on, or even the A380 now, these are four-engine planes with 1980s technology engines. These engines are burning about 25% less fuel and producing substantially less emissions as well per passenger. And it's worth mentioning that we're now moving towards something called sustainable aviation fuel, which also reduces emissions, and Qantas makes sure they load 10% of that as part of a fuel mix at Heathrow for these flights.
Right. Well, I might see you in, what should we say, in business class on the non-stop to Sydney, and we'll feel good about not doing too much damage to the environment. Thank you very much to John Strickland.